That was amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, man.
My gosh, yeah, I was like rushing to switch scenes, and I got it to where everyone could see you playing. Cause I was like, I got to see what he's doing as well.
Hell yeah.
It's amazing. The best way I could describe what you do, like being newly introduced to you through Nate, it's the kind of music that I always want on. Like hearing your music is the kind of stuff I always want to hear. It makes me think of traveling. It makes me think of being in nature. It makes me think of like. It reminds me a lot of like folky stuff that some of my favorite melodic death metal bands would have been influenced by, but the like maybe the American sound of it. It's just great. Yeah, I'm really entranced. So
Oh,
yes.
cheers. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I've been obsessed with this style of guitar for like my entire musical career. It's like this is I've been very myopic about it, and I just love this music.
It's amazing. How does one start to play like that? Because like I want to play like that, and I don't know how to do that.
So, I mean, for me, it's like when I started playing the style of guitar, I'm in my 30s now, and like I think I picked up the guitar when I was 12, 13, and discovered Andy McKee on YouTube. I don't know if do you know Andy McKee? So Andy McKee had a video that went crazy viral back in the Wild West days of YouTube. This must have been like 2007. He played a song called Drifting, and it was basically all percussive, right? He's tapping on the low strings and using body percussion on the acoustic guitar. And I was like totally entranced by it. I was like, I've never seen anything like this. Like the closest I've come to seeing something like this was Tommy Emmanuel, if you know him. He's like a fiery picker, all finger style, but a very different style than Andy's. And like, so like when I saw that video of Drifting, I like dedicated myself to this specific sort of percussive style of fingerstyle guitar. And it took me a long time to like figure out how they're doing it because there were no resources at the time. There are barely any now, but back then there was nothing. It was all just like listening and trying to figure out how these guys are making these sounds and what the fuck they're doing with their thumbs, and like, yeah, it was wild. So to answer your question, it's kind of difficult. I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot more resources now. Like you can access a lot of these guitarists and like take lessons with them directly, or there's like courses now, which is kind of crazy to see. But back when I was doing it, man, there was nothing.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, I was able to talk to John Gomm the other day, and he does like it's even more like auxiliary drums on the acoustic. And
Yeah.
I tried to start some of it, like I can't. I'm a terrible drummer. I'm a terrible dancer. But guitar, I'm okay at. So like watching what you do, it's like you make it look much simpler than it is. And there's a really cool Italian term for that called sprezzatura. And sprezzatura I learned from Jerry Seinfeld on Dak Shepard's podcast. But what that means is it's an Italian term for people who make it look effortless, whether it's the way they dress, the way they play, the way they perform, the way they do their craft. But it's because you don't see the 10,000, 100,000 hours behind the scenes. So like watching you do it, I was like, oh man, that looks like something and maybe I can do, but it's also so complex at the same time. So that's sprezzatura thing. But I digress.
What's it? Sprezzatura?
Sprezzatura. So Sprezzatura, I believe. Sprezzatura. And it could be
Okay.
even like it could be anything. Like the way that Jerry Seinfeld described it is like he's like, oh, you see these like impeccably dressed people in Milan, like men and women, impeccably dressed. It looks like they just rolled out of bed like that. But it actually took hours, and you're just seeing them kind of looking like they just showed up with it. But that's the same, the confidence in your playing. Is I was watching the right hand, and that's why I had to like frantically switch to the scene because I wanted to see what was going on. Which that's just so cool because it sounds like there's 5 people playing, but when I watch you, it's just you. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
It's exciting
No,
as
thanks,
a guitar
man.
player to see that.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I will say this much: I'm kind of a one-trick pony.
You and
Like,
me
I
both,
can't-
man. You and me both.
Yeah, okay. Cheers. Yeah. I can't do a lot else, but yeah, I appreciate the kind words, man.
No, it's great, man. Even though the recording quality sounds amazing. Where do you record your records? Your place?
So I have 2 records out. The first one, like I think I recorded it in 2020, right? No, it came out. I don't remember when I recorded it, but I recorded that right in this room, and
Awesome.
it kind of sounds like that too. Like, I
2020 is
had 2
Homecoming.
Yes, that was Homecoming. That's a 4-song EP, and I just wanted to get something out there. And I recorded that like literally in this room. There's no treatment in here either. Like it.
Wow.
The guy who mixed for me is a college friend, and he's like a savant when it
Yeah.
comes to audio, and he made it sound pretty good.
Yeah.
Like it was tough. And then the second one, that was last year's release in May, called Words Won't. I recorded in an actual studio, like an
Yeah, it
adult.
sounds wonderful, man. It sounds like warm and it's just really like transportative music. I don't know if that's a word, transportative. But like I feel like I'm where your album art is, which is what's really fun for me.
Hell yeah! Then you'd be in a Boston College parking lot.
I was gonna say it looks like somewhere in like Portland, Maine to me, but yeah, maybe it's there.
Yeah, yeah, that was like a local place. I took that photo myself, and like I was out riding motorcycles with a friend, and we were kind of just like going onto random properties, and this one was like basically a almost abandoned Boston College property. So we took some photos there, and then some guy yelled at us, and we left.
Sounds about right.
But yeah, yeah,
It's always the best stuff made with someone yelling at you.
yeah.
But
You need that pressure.
yeah, man, take us back. When did you first pick up guitar? What styles did you get into? Where did you start transitioning? And we kind of know the YouTube story, but where was the beforehand?
So, I mean, my first experience with a stringed fretted instrument was in fifth grade. They gave us all baritone ukuleles, and baritone ukuleles are it's basically the top four strings of a guitar. You have the D, G, B, and E. So I was like playing that for a while, and like the natural approach to that instrument is with your fingers. You don't really use a pick on a baritone ukulele, or at least we didn't. And I became obsessed with that. I got my own. I started like learning songs on that and learning through chords. And my brother, my older brother, he's like the middle brother, is also a guitarist. Had been playing for years before that, and the first and only nice thing he did for me when I was a kid was buy me my first acoustic guitar, a Seagull S6 that I still have, and that I got that when I was like 13, and I started like exploring like Simon and Garfunkel tunes, and I think the first tune I learned in earnest on that guitar was "More Than a Feeling" by Boston.
Love that record so much. Love that song.
Yeah, it's a good one, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, from there it was like all finger style. I didn't want to play a pick with a pick. Fingers just felt natural for me. And then like through high school is that's when I started discovering Andy McKee and all of these other Candy Rat guys. So like you mentioned John Gomm, he falls into that category. He came a bit later, but these other cats were Andy McKee, another guy named Don Ross, Antoine Dufour, Craig DeAndrea. Like some folks know these names because back in those Candy Rat days, like these videos were crazy viral. And like a lot of people saw them and they were like, I've never seen guys play like this. And what I ended up learning later was that all of these guys took their influence from much earlier players. One big name is Michael Hedges, who died in a car crash in the '90s, but he was uh, the like instrumental, pardon the pun, to this style of music. So I like was obsessed with these videos in high school, and I started to consider music school. My brother Stuart, the one who gave me the guitar, went to Berkeley, and I was like, that's cool. That's really cool. That sounds like a fun thing to do. So I was like, maybe I want to do that. So I started taking lessons and started learning to read on guitar in high school, all while still exploring fingerstyle. And then I got lucky enough and I got into Berkeley, and didn't do well there. So it was cool though.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
I originally wanted to go to Berkeley as well when I was in school because I became a big fan of Dream Theater. I was like, I want to go to this music college, and then the touring came up though. But that's funny that you said you started up. And you're like, nah, I didn't do well.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it's tough, and you're like, if you're the best guitarist in your hometown, you're like, so is everybody else that goes to Berkeley, and those
Yeah.
those levels are. There's many different levels, so everybody was just outrageously good. Like these dudes were coming into this school with crazy jazz chops,
Yeah.
or like if they played gospel growing up, right? Like they learned all of this uh, insane theory and harmony without realizing it. They just have these insane chops, and it is humbling.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I wish I had music theory. That's something I just don't have. Like I've tried learning it, and I feel like once the cake is kind of baked as an adult, and I feel like men usually have ADD, ADHD. I definitely have both in a very extreme way. So like starting to read up, I'll just lose all of it. But yeah, I think it's like a little bit of what you said is kind of ingrained already without being aware you're studying it sometimes. But yeah, I think for academic music listening, maybe I would have struggled as well.
Yeah, I definitely learned a lot there, but like when I got out, I felt behind and pretty discouraged actually. I immediately entered the retail world. I was like, man, I don't know how anybody makes this music shit work. So, and like I kind of took a break from it after that. But yeah, I've never believed that theory is requisite for being a great instrumentalist. Like that's simply not true. There are so many examples of excellent musicians out there who have no theory knowledge. But it certainly helps, especially when you're trying to learn. Like when you have if you know basic theory and you're listening to a tune, I think it's a little easier to grasp what's happening in those pieces of music. and you can. It's like and it accelerates your learning process, or at least that was my experience. Um, so,
No, that's good. That's a
but
great point because even this morning I
yeah.
was trying to explain to one of my friends who I'm working with their band, this amazing band called Downfall of Mankind, and I came with this chorus line and this vocal line. I was like, "Hey, try this thing out," and we kept trying these variations, and I could not figure out why it was clashing. And I think if I knew music theory, I would have known exactly why it clashed. So this morning when I played, I was like, "Oh, this is why," because this note that I'm singing is rubbing against this note and is causing a dissonance that doesn't sound cool. But I feel like that's something I would have noticed right away with proper music theory. That's just always interesting. Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it could be. It could be. I don't know, man. I mean, it's music theory for a reason too.
exactly.
Sometimes those rules just are they're like suggestions,
Yep.
really.
I like that. Yeah, because I started
Yeah.
learning a bit before our fourth record, a record called Shogun that's pretty techy for us. And I kept thinking I had to do things this way. Then all of a sudden I like built these rules that didn't exist in music theory, but because of the way I interpreted music theory, like I started to think that every note I sing has to be in the guitar chord that I'm playing. So that
Mm.
record, instead of having like 2 note power chords for like most metal bands do, it'd be like 6 note power chords that are moving with the vocal line because I thought I had to do that. But you don't have to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool though.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah,
funny.
yeah. So it's big chords with these melodies that are all fitting into this box, and it's still a beloved record. But it's like it's interesting how I misinterpreted that.
That's fun. I dig that though. You
Yeah,
probably
it
have some
was.
amazing sounds in there.
There's some big chords. Like every single chord is like a 5 to 6 note. Or, I mean, not 5 to 6 note, but a 5 to 6, including octaves, a 5 to 6 note chord.
Yeah.
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 What tuning are you in? It sounds a little bit lower.
Oh, for that one, that's D A D G C E. So drop D, and then I'm tuning the B string up to a C. And
And
what
does
you
that create like another kind of power chord over there?
it's kind of like an open chord. So that chord in particular would be it's like a you got a power chord up top, and then you have that. It's like a D minor open
Okay.
tuning, basically D minor 7 open tuning. Um, and as it turns out, like I play in a lot of open tuning. As it turns out, that tuning in particular is pretty easy to understand and play and arrange guitar pieces for. I totally stole that tuning from one of the Candy Rat guys. Antoine Dufour in particular uses that one on a lot of his music, and I was like, "This is dope. I'm gonna live in this for a while."
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's
That's
that.
awesome.
That's the tuning for that one. Yeah, for
That's very
Whiskey
cool.
Strategy. Yeah.
Do you find that that helps a lot more with the percussive kind of playing because of the nature of being able to fret down with the stronger part of the hand, or?
I think more when it comes to open tunings in particular, like this style thrives on open strings. So you with open tunings you can explore keys that aren't suited to standard tuning guitar and still get that open string effect for that big sound, right? Like Whiskey Strategies, it's like open strings the whole time. It's barely got a melody. It's more of like a theme.
Mhm.
But open strings the whole time, and I can strum, and it's always going to sound right, basically. So open tunings can be a real crutch, actually.
Yeah, I
Like
want to. I want
you
to
could,
try it.
they're a lot of fun, man. I could give you a whole list.
Yeah, that'd be
They're-
great. That'd be
yeah.
great. Well, when you write your songs, like the last song, do you have like a go-to structure? Do you still, even though it's instrumental, do you do like a verse, chorus kind of thing, or what do you do?
Yeah, ultimately, yeah. So I think I've been taking a look at my song form lately, and I've been like, wow, I'm kind of like predictable, which is
I'm
fine.
I'm
There's
the
nothing
same.
wrong with that.
I'm the same.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I think it's just like when you have an established way of approaching song form, you just do it over and over again. But basically, I'm going like, I guess verse, chorus,
Bridge, chorus.
bridge. Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah,
I
like
love
all the
that
time.
structure, man. I love that structure. Like there's a time and a place for really jarring, odd structure, but I feel like when someone's being first introduced to something, it makes so much more sense when it is. I feel like that's the conventional song structure because it's so good. It's the best way to present something in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. It works out, and when people are listening to it, they understand it like immediately. There's
Absolutely.
no getting lost in that. Although there is a lot of good that comes with unconventional song structure where things really change,
Hmm.
and it just gets like you get weird and lost, and it takes you on an adventure. That's fun too. I struggle to write like that too, though, because I don't really want to write 5 minute songs. I don't have the patience for it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. No, I definitely I try to do some different things every once in a while, but I'm so regimented, so OCD in the same patterns, the same thing of everything that yeah, maybe I need to do that to challenge myself a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yep. Since we're both streamers, I definitely would love to get your perspective on streaming. When did you start streaming on Twitch? What's your normal schedule? Also, shout out the channel name.
Oh, sure. So I like made this account on Twitch, I don't know, like 4 years ago, maybe, to watch a buddy of mine. One of my moderators is a streamer. He streams Destiny 2, the game. And I just wanted to hang out with him because he's my best friend in the whole wide world. So like I started up this Twitch account, and then COVID happened, and I was like, I started working from home basically, and I was in marketing before, and it gave me a ton of time to like. Sorry.
No
Yes, it
worries.
is. Sorry, I had my reverb on my channel.
Oh, look, it's not coming through here, so you're good.
Yeah, okay. So I had all this time, and I was playing guitar a lot and like shooting video content and stuff like that. And a couple of my my moderator and then a couple of guys I knew from other platforms were like, "You should try streaming on Twitch. Like, it's pretty fun." And I was like, "All right, but who's gonna watch like a dude play acoustic guitar? Like, I just don't see it. Who the fuck wants to watch a guy play acoustic guitar on Twitch, the gaming platform?" And then I started doing it back in August 2021. I think that's when I got affiliate, and like a month later, Twitch put me on the front page, and I was like, "Oh, what? Can this be a real thing?" And then like I stayed there for a long time, and it like built up my channel and turned into something I never imagined. Um, and so yeah, I mean that's essentially the whole story, really.
That's so great to hear. And have you loved it? Do you love? Do you feel like it's really helped to be able to push your music out in different ways?
I think I do love streaming. It's like the most fun thing I've been able to do musically because I don't play out. Those opportunities are limited, especially in Boston, for like an artist of my size. Uh, Twitch is like crazy fun. It's something I do 3 mornings a week. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I go to like 12:30 or something like that. And it's like it's I don't know. It's made my music feel a lot different because there's like this incredibly dedicated group of people that are always here, and it just feels amazing to be able to play for them a lot of the same stuff day after day, but they're like still here for it. And it's also like definitely helped my playing because I'm putting in more hours on stream than I was playing guitar in a week ever. So
That's awesome. I love to hear all
yeah,
that's like the same way I believe about the channel. The same thing. Be able to see the great community and just yeah, I feel like I've gotten better at what I do thanks to streaming on Twitch because inevitably what you and I are doing, we're doing what we would have done off camera, but it's more fun to be on camera. It's more fun to have the schedule and have the friends there supporting you and wanting to be there.
yeah,
It's really nice to
it's
hear.
amazing. It's
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah, it's totally different from making. I mean, it's Twitch is, I guess, essentially social media, but it's totally different.
it is.
It's you're talking with people the whole time, and it's just I don't know. It's always exciting, and
Yep.
I've frankly I've gotten very lucky with the way my channel has gone. It's been a pretty short time, and I've had all this growth just on Twitch. But yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with it. I think about the stream every day
That's great,
and
man.
like what I can change, and it slowly morphs into something else. And then I have moments like this where I get to talk to you and bring you on stream. This is amazing.
That's awesome,
This
man.
is part of the reason why I love Twitch. This
That's
is
so
incredible.
cool. I love to hear that. I love to hear that because I started streaming a while back. And I remember right when pandemic was happening, a lot of musicians started jumping in, and I love that your reasons are what I would consider the right reasons. You love what you do. You love seeing the people there. It's fun. You think about it in a fun way. So I definitely felt like it was kind of 50-50 with musicians jumping in who didn't know the platform, who maybe were established beforehand, who came on. It was kind of like, let's say it's in quarters. Half that were established, half that weren't, half that were established that weren't, loved it and didn't love it. And I saw a lot of people not sticking with it, but I felt like they had it for the wrong reasons. So like, well, how do I? And the monetization, I feel like the monetization is a nice side effect, and I
Mm.
hope that you're feeling that nice side effect. But I feel like the main core of it is that you have to love what you're doing, and you have to broadcast what you love doing, or your audience is going to feel like, hey, this doesn't quite feel like something they want to do. And I could tell the way you talk about it that you love it. So that's absolutely the right way to be on this platform.
Yeah, cheers, man. And you do some incredible shit on Twitch. I mean, you're
Thanks,
live
man.
streaming your shows.
Yep. We stream every single show for free, every sound check. I stream every warm up. I have a very long warm up. It's 2 hours before every show, an hour straight of vocals. Then we do a 30-minute set with the band. So it's called our pig pen. So it's all four of us with like a V kit, mini amps. We all play. There's no set thing. We play songs. The other day, we tried a song that we hadn't played in 10 years live just so we could have it ready for that show and just bust it out live. And we change our set every single night now too. So last tour we were doing, I think we did 48 songs in one tour by just rotating them every day. So no two sets were ever the same ever.
That's amazing,
But
dude.
that's the same. Like I feel like you would do the same thing live because you love what you do and you love doing this, and I feel like that all speaks through and all the things that you do, and that everyone does.
Cheers, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, we try to stream the things that make sense. I used to stream things like jujitsu or travel things, and I feel like anytime anyone on the internet sees two men wrestling who are in close contact, they just can't handle it. The comment section gets so bad, I can't moderate this anymore. I'm done with this. So I stopped broadcasting that. But anything musical, we do. If we bring out our gaming rigs, we haven't brought them out the last couple tours because it was kind of a tighter travel schedule. But we do stream games as well here and there. But my main focus, my main happiness, is playing music on Twitch.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. I feel like that's the thing about music in general. I mean, I guess at any size is like that's what people came to you for in the first place. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? And personally, my own approach to social media in general is to just keep it musically focused because I personally I have no reason to believe that anybody gives a shit about what I do otherwise. I don't do that many interesting things, frankly, though. It's quite different, you know what I mean? Like I'm always in this room, so I have nothing else to stream really or put content out for.
Hey man, if people love it, that's the way. I do find when I play games, the viewership teeters. If anything that's not me doing, I'm like, man, do people really want to watch you play the same Trivium songs every day? And they do, and it's amazing. So yeah, it's a cool time, and I do definitely really enjoy streaming the shows because I've talked to bands that have felt. Do you feel streaming your shows de-incentivizes people to come out to your shows since they could just get it for free? And I was like, well, with metal and rock, there's nothing that will ever simulate that. Being in person, being in that sweaty room, feeling the sound, hearing the sound, feeling the heat off other bodies. You'll never experience that anywhere other than being in that room. So I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like people constantly able to be connected in a world where there's so much other content, of so much other stuff distracting us from the things that we want to see. I'd rather have that, just give them that option. Hey man, if you want to be plugged in the Trivium 24/7, it's right here. Versus like
Yeah.
kind of like just waiting for us to come back.
Yeah, there's like so much truth in that, right? Like nothing can replace the feeling of going out and seeing your favorite musicians at all. Yeah, it doesn't. You could stream every show; it's never going to be the same. Although to be fair, those show streams sound great,
Yeah,
so like
yeah,
they're so worth watching. They're
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean you guys are amazing too. But yeah,
Thanks,
it's
man.
like, yeah, cheers.
Thanks. So our
Yeah,
sound guy
like
has a dedicated mix for specifically for Twitch. So I would say our sound guy
yeah,
is the
okay.
best Twitch mixing sound guy in the world right now because he specifically mixes it for like cell phones because he knows people are watching off their phone or their laptop speakers. I noticed my
Oh
camera's been
damn,
flickering. Sorry, like I told you, there's always something. It's
it's all
just
right.
me to you. Yeah, I'm not gonna bother. I'll break something. But yeah, it's so he specifically crafts that out. And at our hangar, we've got a PC that was built by Gamers Nexus that will eventually stream stuff from there. So yeah, it's just kind of plugging in and showing the things that we enjoy showing.
Yeah, that is cool, man. Yeah, dedicated mix for the stream. That is sick.
Yep, and
That
I
is
travel with
seriously
two
sick.
backpacks that I built that have all the streaming stuff in it, and we run the cable into the camera, and that's how that
Oh
works.
my god, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah, that's and
You
that
you
thing.
making it sound like it's no big deal, but
Oh,
that's a lot of effort, no
it's
question.
that backpack has cut off 10 years of my life. It's just so stressful because I'm not tech savvy. I'm very impatient. When things don't work, I just freak out first. So I've
Big
got
same.
two of these backpacks that are like, there's like 20 components inside of it to run it. So yes,
Wow,
I hope the chat feels worth it because they are.
holy moly!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But that's amazing. So you feel like with your artist profiles on the streaming services, have you found the growth has been from Twitch? Do you feel it's been from that?
No, actually. So
Okay.
Twitch grows in a vacuum for me. Like Twitch, my feeling about Twitch in general is that if you're growing on Twitch, you're growing. For most people, I think you're growing on Twitch. That's obvious. There's obviously several exceptions to that rule. Probably yourself, right? You have a massive following on this platform, and I have a feeling it's because of Trivium and all the work that you guys have done,
It
right?
initially was. I'll try to keep it brief because you're on a point too. It initially was me having to bring Trivium fans over, so it was 100% of me bringing Trivium fans over. It was a lot of work to port them from one thing to another, port them from all the other social media, teach them on a new social media. So it's kind of like a 99-1 split of Trivium fans first, but it took a long time to teach them to come over there. And it since has segued to maybe 80-20, maybe 20% of people that we've made fans on Twitch come to the channel, and maybe the shows as well. Maybe a 75-25. But sorry, continue.
No, all good. Yeah, that's interesting. So like my experience has been that the vast majority of the growth I've had on Twitch is within Twitch, right? Like I know from experience and also from my days in marketing that getting people to come over from another platform that they're choosing to spend time on is almost impossible. Like the sell has to be really good. So every time I go live, I'm begging people on my other social
Me too.
platforms to come over, which to be fair are like they are way larger. Like Instagram is honestly my primary platform for visibility. It's like it's grown to a size that I never imagined.
That's awesome.
Instagram is like fucking massive for me.
That's
And I
great.
just didn't imagine it. And Twitch is nowhere near that. Twitch, however, you got these people that are like they like are really they're really dedicated to the stream. This group is amazing. So it's a very different vibe. Like it's casual viewership versus like the community on Twitch that is always here for me. It's very different.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm like it's like I'm growing these platforms. They're kind of isolated. I'm always trying to connect them. There's Instagram. I'm attempting TikTok. There's Twitch. For a while, there was Reddit. They had streaming on Reddit. That kind of got me started with streaming. Yeah, that was
a lot of
brief.
stuff.
It was weird, and there's like Facebook, and then I don't know anything where you have visibility. Spotify I treat as its own social media platform.
Yeah, there's
And they're
so
all
many, man. There's so many. Like I definitely have got to the point where it starts to become disorienting.
dude, it's wild what you need to do as a musician at any size these days if you want people to hear what you're putting out there.
My biggest tip to kind of corral the multiple herds is because I think you probably already do this. And what I do is whatever happened on stream that was excellent, I'll grab a clip of that. That exact clip I feed to every single social media with the same copy paste caption. I don't ever use the multi posters because it posts a link and it makes people not want to visit it. But the same video clip that I'm using for Instagram, and obviously it's reel focused now, it's all reel on Instagram, and that exact same copy paste goes to every single one of my social medias I'm focused on. That kind of saves a little bit of
Gotcha.
time. That's one of my hacks. My wife just did a social media seminar with this big influencer teacher. And one of the things you said, you're already doing it, and said you had a marketing background as well. But you said like you focus primarily or entirely on the acoustic clips on Instagram or acoustic of what you do, and that's why it's so successful. She was saying in that social media seminar that anytime someone is known for a thing and they deviate extremely, they might get a couple new followers from that thing, but then it becomes kind of disoriented. The algorithm gets a little bit busted, and those people don't come back, and it kind of derails it for the main following, which I thought was really interesting. I never thought of that. Yeah, because I definitely have a habit of kind of reaching out to these other things that may not quite be it, and I'll put them in there, and it'll mess things up for me.
Yeah, I have this prevailing belief that when it comes to social media, consistency is key. Like painful consistency. So I post like the only thing I'll put on Instagram is specific types of guitar clips because it works really well. And then, I mean, I keep what I do fairly simple. I just play the acoustic guitar, so it's a little easy to.
Well,
stay
your feed looks
consistent.
great too. Like I used to talk about people having like a beautiful like Instagram feed, and most people have lost that, but yours has it. Yours looks great. Like it looks
Oh,
consistent. It looks like it's
thanks,
you.
dude.
Yeah, it looks. Everyone should look at it right now. Tom.in.Boston, and that is a very handsome looking Instagram feed right there for two reasons.
Thanks, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, So social media is wild, but yeah, I like. Yeah, I mean, even streamers get this all the time, right? I've been watching a lot of Tarkov streamers lately, and if they switch games, naturally their viewership is gonna like basically decline. It's gonna drop in half.
Yeah.
And I think the same is true for any pivot on social media. But that I don't know, just a weird game.
Yeah, mine, like anytime I'd play games with cartoonish graphics, the viewership would drop by half, if not into a third of what it just was. But I'd always enjoy those more. Like I would rather play, at the time when I was playing a bunch of games, I would have rather played Fortnite or Overwatch than Call of Duty or PUBG. And if I played stuff with realistic graphics, they'd stay, but it would kind of teeter. But if I went to cartoon graphics, it would just die off. And I loved Fortnite, and it would just drop when I'd play that.
Oh man, Fortnite. Tell you, I don't miss playing that game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's like guitar playing. You take too much of a time off, and it goes away. Skills.
Oh yeah. High skill cap.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, it's more like I would say playing games at that high level, which actually will segue into a good point about streaming. It's like a martial art or a sport. And I feel like a lot of musicians, when they heard about Twitch at first, not a lot, maybe 25, 30, 33% of them, when they came over to the platform, like, I'm going to start streaming games, and they're maybe thinking they'd become like the next Ninja or Shroud or or Dakota's or Nick Merckx. But the truth of the matter is, no musician will ever become as good as any of them because we have to do what we're known for first. Instead, we could be the best of what we do, specifically on our one trick pony thing, like you and I both said we are, of what we do and showcasing that, being the best. You be the best Tom, I be the best Matt for the things that we do in life, and then we broadcast that. And I think that's why you have success on your channel. That's why I have success on my channel.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I agree with you fully there. That's I feel like that's just the way it's got to go. I think what musicians. I mean, I spoke to some musicians in the acoustic world during COVID, who I mean, of course, gigging dropped off entirely. There were no tours. Things were shut down, and it was like I can't even imagine how difficult a time that must have been for guys like you. Like I just that if you're used to being on the road all the time and that's your bread and butter, what do you do? You do
Yeah, I
it
mean,
while it shuts
we
down.
couldn't do anything. But luckily, the stream, I've been streaming for I think 3 years before that, maybe 4 years before pandemic. So right when the pandemic happened, everyone that I kept trying to push over, hey, come visit my Twitch. Finally, like, well, I'm home. I'm going to check this thing out, and the channel, like, at least as far as viewership went, like 4, 5, 6x daily of what I normally do. And I would know,
Whoa.
like, hey, when the world goes back, it's going to go back. And it did. It went back to where the normal levels were beforehand. But it was this massive 4 or 5x spike of viewership. We did a couple
So
free streams on our channel, like as a band from our old practice place, and then we did a couple paid for pay-per-view streams where we had like it was mixed and mastered and 10-person camera crew. So we did those to keep it going. We moved all the band. We
wow.
moved all the band from different states because Paulo's in Chicago, Alex was in California. This was back when the pandemic, we didn't really know what was going on with it, how lethal or what was happening, but we're like, we need to move together. So we all moved within 10 minutes of each other, bought a property, bought an airplane hangar, and we're like, let's just do everything we can and just see the four of us, and that's it, and build and build and build. So we were lucky. I always feel bad saying this because I've met people who've lost family members, who lost their jobs. A lot of terrible, terrible things happened over those 2-3 years. But it was, for us, it was a good 2-3 years because we were able to keep people happy, keep the streams going, keep content going. A lot of us all had newborns at the time. Like I had my twins, so I was
Oh
home
my
for 2
goodness.
years straight with my two newborns, which was amazing. So
Whoa.
we thankfully had a wonderful time. Made two of our best records of all time during it. But I think that's kind of the anomaly story. Like we talked again, people that out of nature just could not. They were just screwed. And we talked to some people who just didn't want to do anything who could have. So I think your time is what you make out of it.
So I have something to say about that, but I want to back up to the airplane hangar. Can you tell? Can you talk a little bit more about that? That's
Yeah.
like you just like casually like, yeah, no, we picked up an airplane
Yeah.
hangar.
So
My man.
we've always been very, very frugal with our money. We always like everything we make goes into a pot just to pay us out what we just need to make everything happen for our lives. And we've been saving up a good amount of money. We're like, hey, we're sick of renting. We're renting at this terrible 1960s music store that there was a shoe store in it that like burned part of the building down. It sucked. It was very just a vibe suck being there. I hated practicing because of that place. We're looking at the rental numbers. We're like, we're renting for a lot of money. And this was right before the housing bubble. So we were really lucky because who knew that was going to happen. Right before all that happened, where property was still pretty cheap, I found out there was like these converted Airbnb airplane hangars at this one airport in Florida. There was a couple of them. I saw it was a little expensive. I mentioned to my mother-in-law, I was like, this was a little pricey, but would have been great. She's like, oh, you know who's selling one of those? Ashley's cousin. So we bought it directly from Ashley's cousin, who's next door, who built the entire place out for us. He's got his own construction contracting business, and they basically caretake it for us when we're off tour. So it was these
Whoa.
perfect situations that kind of came about. And yeah, it's an awesome airplane hangar. We've had it wasn't our goal to rent it out to other bands, but other bands have been renting it. Day to Remember was just there. Oni was there. I produced the Frozen Soul record there. Like just all sorts of great opportunities have been happening there. We could do all our music videos, photo shoots, anything we ever need to happen there. We could just do it. And we own the place versus renting it. I hated renting. I was like, this just watching this money just bleed out for something that we could have been owning. So that's what that's all about.
That's amazing, dude. That's really cool.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you.
like center of operations in an airplane hangar.
Yeah, it's great, man.
That's dope, man.
We try to always invest in reinvest into ourselves versus like buying silly, frivolous things. Let's just keep reinvesting into the band.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. So I wanted to mention that, yeah, like I have a lot of mixed feelings about COVID because I remember when it first hit, I was so fucking stressed out. I mean, my wife is a school teacher too, and she was, frightened. We didn't know what the hell was going on. Nobody did, right? And I just, they like pulled me out of the office. They sent everybody home, and we effectively shut down I was working in e-commerce. And I worked in a warehouse essentially, and we kind of shut things down, and everybody went home, and we were working remotely and being confused all the time about what was going on. And after the initial shock of like these big sweeping changes during COVID, I started playing guitar more, and I started being able to spend more time shooting video content, and eventually starting up streaming and all of these things that I like never put time into before because you just couldn't when you're spending 8+ hours a day in the office. And that's when this my newfound musical career came together, was during COVID. So I'm like, I don't want to say I'm like thankful for the period, but how can I not be?
Hmm.
Everything changed.
Hmm.
I mean, I understand that for that it was a very challenging time for a lot of people. Like bad shit happened. Um, but I was able to come out of it with something pretty good, and that's, I mean, ultimately that period of time is what brought me to where I am now on this like upward trajectory, and it's been exciting.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
And I feel like when musicians like you and I have that message for the people that look up to our music or look to our music for things, it just makes the, keeps that goodwill and that good vibe and that empathy circle just constantly going. So it's great to hear that.
yeah, for sure, man, for sure.
It's great to hear that. With that positive note being said, it was an absolute pleasure to get to know you, my friend. Make sure everyone checks out Tom Anello. Is that the correct pronunciation?
That's right. Yeah,
Tom Anello is the artist profile on all the streaming platforms. Tom in Boston is on Twitch. Everybody, please follow him. And dude, stay in
yeah.
touch, man. I'm blown away by your guitar playing. I'll be listening to that all day today. So it's
Matt,
gonna be
thanks
nice.
so much, man. Dude,
Yeah,
it's
man.
been a pleasure talking with you. I'm glad we made it this long without a crash.
It was perfect. Perfect timing to right on the most positive high note. Crash. That's good.
Yeah, dude.
Mic drop. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay in touch. If you can make any of our shows, just shoot me a text or an email. Tickets on me, man.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Okay. Absolutely will do. Thank you, man.
Awesome, man. Great to meet you, Tom.
Yeah, likewise.
All the
See
best,
ya.
my friend. Later, dude. Hey, everybody. Matt Heafy here. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to check out my Twitch live, you can check it out right here. Hit that follow button, notifications on. Make sure you also subscribe to the Fishman YouTube. Subscribe now. I look forward to seeing you all next time. Thank you very much.